here like 7 days. They all wanna talk about what I've been on. Hold up, motherfucker, let's get it straight. Honey gold 007 in the cut. Bad boy got me hot, don't touch. That bad boy got me hot, don't touch me. Bad boy got me hot, don't touch.
Hey guys, it's King Sebrock here, and I wanted to talk to you guys about Elder Scrolls Online and the state of it by the end of the year of 2019. Now, it's no secret that the game had a rough start, and it's had its up and down as the patches have been released and different crew members have come and gone. But next year, we've already got a sneak peek of Skyrim that we'll be getting in the next chapter. This comes after the Morrowind, Somerset, and Elsewhere chapters, which for a PvPer were decent. I definitely enjoyed Warden, and I've been loving my Necromancer. But I want to talk about 5 things that I want to see coming into this next year. So the first thing I want to see is a change, or rather a fix, to Blastbones. Shouldn't come as a surprise coming from a Mag Necro main, but I feel like my class is really let down by Blastbones' inability to decide if it wants to go off or not. I feel like the class could be a lot better, could be a lot more viable if it had a reliable burst. It's just not saying it's a simple fix. I don't really understand the mechanics. I'm not a programmer, so I don't know how any of the technicalities work, but it's very aggravating when I've got someone down to really low health and Blastbones doesn't go off, or I've locked onto someone and I've clicked my Blastbones for it to come up, but then it just never summons, so I go for my whole burst and realize that my Blastbones never came up. Or just it not working, standing still, running back and forth. It's very aggravating, and it really messes with the Necromancer's chance of being a good class and putting it up there with the rest of the classes as far as open world goes. It can work in towers with such low or small area for it to run around. If it blows up on someone, those towers are so small, it's probably gonna blow up on another. But the issue is, I'm not always in a tower. I fight a lot in the fields or around rocks, and I need my Blastbones to hit when it goes to hit, especially when I've got someone low off of a Met or an ult, and it's just standing there staring and could kill them off. It's the state of Blastbones just really puts Necromancer behind the power curve as far as class balancing goes. Next, I really want to see Alliance Lock removed. It was here at the beginning of the game, and then it was removed for good reason. It was stupid, and role players complained. People thought for whatever reason, people cared about the campaign enough to come in and spy, and now Alliance Lock is back. It doesn't really make sense. I have 3 alliances in the game with different stories and different races, different starts of their campaigns, and different Cyrodiil locations. If you're just gonna lock one alliance and all the characters of that alliance to one of the main campaigns, it doesn't really make sense. If I want to play with some of my friends that are yellows, or I want to go play with some of my friends that are reds, or I want to go play with my group that's blue, I have to play in different campaigns. I can't go hop on red and play with the rest of the reds and Cal because I've got an alliance locked to blue, and they can't switch and come play on their blues because they've got alliance locked to red. And for a game that promotes group play and playing with other people and having a social environment, it locks down that environment. It encourages speaking to and making friends with people in the game, especially with one Tamriel, where you have people from every alliance in every location, and now you make those friends, but you can't go run with them because they've alliance locked a character that was on a different alliance. And it ruins some of the fun that can be had in the game, because there's just no point to it. I just found these blues that I enjoy running around with, and if I want to keep playing with them, I've got to recreate my characters. I've got to change them to a different alliance so that I can play different characters and I'm not just locked to one. And I guess, like, with the amount of events there are and the XP boost you can get, it's more manageable, but it's still annoying to have to level up a character from 1 through 50 and then get all the skill lines also to 50, because you can't play that same class with your friends because you're alliance locked. Or at the very least, if you're not going to remove alliance lock, give us alliance change tokens. We have race change, we have name change. Why not give alliance change? Costs 3,000 like the rest, 2,500, 3,000 crowns, and it just lets you change your alliance so you don't have to level up because they introduced this stupid alliance lock that doesn't make any sense. This next one isn't going to come as much of a surprise to anyone who plays the game now or who's been playing the game, but I want to see better performance. I understand that the developers want to balance the game so that people keep playing, but it doesn't matter if one class is stronger than the next if both of the classes crash. It's impossible now to get onto Cyrodiil in prime time and not have so much lag where your abilities aren't working. Our group has definitely been able to put ourselves in a position where we could have killed a lot more people than we did, or even wiped a whole group that was a lot bigger than ours, but we couldn't change our bars, or we couldn't press our abilities, or they wouldn't go off, and we just died, or we got desynced, or we crashed. Crashing is a huge problem. Last night alone, I crashed. I got a loading screen that turned into a frozen screen, and so I had to restart the game. And then the load screen that I got coming back into the game also froze again, so I had to restart the game again. And all of this happened in a place where it definitely shouldn't have happened because there were no enemies in that area. Blues had just retaken rails and moved to Owlswell. I was right on front of rails. There was no one on my screen. No red, no blue. And I crashed and couldn't get back in the game for 5 to 10 minutes. That's when I'm waiting for an hour to get into the campaign. That's just unacceptable. It shouldn't be happening on a game that's been out for 5 years and has had people working on it for 5 years and quote unquote improving the performance. Now, performance can be really good. Some of the clips that I've shown were not really lagging, and there are a few bodies on the screen, but it's not always like that, and it's 90% of the time the opposite, where even if you can't noticeably see the lag, you can definitely feel it. And then along with server performance, there comes desyncs. There's so many abilities in this game that can desync now. Pretty much all of Sork's abilities desync between Frag, Curse, and Endless Fury. Dawnbreaker too, if they're using it. And then Snipe. Oh, don't even get me started on Snipe. If I had a penny for every time I got desynced by Snipe, whether I was traveling, standing still, or in a fight, I would be rich. I would not be doing anything except taking baths in bathtubs full of cash, because that's how filthy rich I'd be. It's ridiculous. Can't go anywhere without getting desynced by a Snipe build. And that is, I mean, yeah, it's part the player's fault for being a Snipe build, but when it's been a problem for years and it's still a problem, I guess it's become the developer's fault. And Snipe's annoying, but I'll talk about that in a different video. The main problem with it right now, though, is the desyncing. If I hear a snipe go off, I know I'm not going to be able to get that X, or I'm not going to be alive to help my group out much longer, because in 5 to 10 seconds, my resources are going to go down to 0. I'm going to stand there for 3 seconds and then die. It's stupid. It doesn't give you a chance to react. The stun, if it does register, takes forever to break, and a lot of times it happens while you've got 4 or 5 people on you. So you're taking 3-4 seconds to break this CC because it takes so long to break it. Because of server performance, while you've got 5 guys and full damage builds wailing away on you, there's just no way that you're going to be able to survive it and still be able to do damage. And it's the server performance is a problem, PvE and PvP. Cities are having difficulty. You just crash shopping through the guild markets. Or you'd be in PvP fighting in Valestris, 2 people on your team and 5 on theirs, and all of a sudden you can't bar swap. Even though you just came from fighting a 30v30 Zerg like 5 minutes ago. It's inconsistent, it's annoying, it ruins the fun, and it makes it very hard to go out and enjoy one of the things that makes other schools PvP great, which is open world, of course. There's the large scale battles, and then there's the ability for small scalers to go out there and fight in these large scale groups as a smaller group. But then when you introduce all of this lag, I mean, sure, the big group's getting it too, but they don't have to worry. They're not gonna all die in 5 seconds if one of them gets CC'd, unless it's an ulti dump from the whole group, because they've got so many healers and so many people. But anyone in the smaller group is, if they can't bar swap, they're screwed, because they're taking so much heat, and the healers just sit there in the back spamming Radiant D once you get below 60% health. It makes it so hard to fight with the meta, and it makes it 10 times harder when the game doesn't perform. If game performance would improve, the game would be 20 times better. But I'm gonna stop going on my rant now about that, because there's 20,000 videos on YouTube about server performance from people who know about what they're talking about more than I do. The next thing I want to see is more weapon skill lines. Now, what I'm about to go into has been covered by Christopher ESO and Hack the Minotaur, so I'm really just going to be repeating things that they said. I would go check out their videos if you want more detail, considering these are their ideas. But one of those weapon skill lines that I really want to see is a one-handed rune. We see NPCs in the game who have one-handed rune abilities, and I mean, they look cool. They've got one-handed weapon, and then they're casting magic in the other. It's the real spell sword idea that a lot of people played in Morrowind and Oblivion and even Skyrim, but you don't get the chance to do that in Elder Scrolls Online, and it'd be really cool to do. Bring another way to play mag, or maybe even Stam, and I'm sure hybrid builds would lose their minds. It would add more variability to builds, which is one thing we're severely lacking right now in Cyrodiil, and it'd be nice for me to be able to run it on my macro, because I don't really like having to run Destro. If I could run a melee and still be viable, I would do it, and I feel like one-hand rune would be a good way to do that, to have variability and viability in your build, especially for Necromancer, who desperately needs the love. And I would just really enjoy not only probably the gameplay mechanics of it, but also the power fantasy. Everyone plays Elder Scrolls Online for a different reason, but most people probably started playing it because of its fantasy genre. Why not allow you to live that fantasy genre a little more with one-handed rune? The last thing I want to see is a big one, and this is more PvP related content drops. We got Imperial City and we got Battlegrounds, and that's been pretty much it. I mean, I guess you can count Volendrunk, but other than those 3 things in the last 5 years, that is all the love PvP has gotten as far as content drops are concerned. And I don't want to go and count how many different PvE content drops there have been, but PvP community has just been left in the dark, left in the dust, and left unloved. Their server performance is, as I've already stated, is bad, and if you got another fun way to PvP, probably could fix it a little bit. Make PvP zones that are near different alliances. Have like invasion spots, and you can go and you could defend beach landings. It could even be a matchmaking type thing where it's teams of 20 versus 20, and one team has the offensive objective and one team has the defensive objective. It gives large scale play for people who love Cyrodiil, so if it's really laggy, they can go do that instead. And it also will, hopefully, I would assume, help in reducing server lag. And for small scalers, you still have those large scale teams that you can pull to the side and try to take out. That is just an idea, just came up with right now, but it's an idea, and it's a PvP related content drop, and I want to see more love for the PvP community. And I know they're not a high percentage of it, but they're still a percentage of the player base on this game, and they need to get the love of a percentage that plays the game. I know I don't PvE unless I have to, and I know there's other people like me out there, but we don't get any love for PvP. So those are the 5 things that I want to see in ESO in 2020. I hope you guys like what I came up with. If you didn't, let me know. If you did, let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you don't want. And tell me what else you want to hear my opinions about. If you liked it, drop a like, leave a comment, and of course, as always, subscribe.